Heads or tails? A question that has probably been asked to everybody watching. You may be someone that always swings with heads, maybe you ride with tails, or you can do what I do, randomly choose last second. But no matter what you pick, your chances will always be 50-50. The coin toss has been a part of the NFL ever since the 1892 season, and since then it's only had a couple of minor changes. You see, up until 1920, the players actually handled the coin toss themselves, but the NFL decided to let the referees take over. One of the other big changes happened in 1998. The procedure was modified to have the visiting team call the toss before the coin was in the air. But to understand the reason why it was changed in 1998, we have to revisit the Lions vs. Steelers on Thanksgiving Day. The NFL's overtime rules were different back then. You only needed a score by any means, which means that the team that won the toss could just drive down before the other team even saw the ball. The Steelers and Lions fought in regulation before the game ended at a tied score of 16-16. Jerome Bettis, who was the Steelers' captain and running back at the time, was the one in charge of calling the coin toss. As soon as the referee tossed the coin in the air, Jerome called tails, and when the coin landed, it happened to land tails. The only problem was that the referee thought he heard heads and rewarded the Lions with the opportunity to receive the ball. The Lions would end up driving down far enough to be able to nail a field goal to win the game in overtime. This resulted in an outroar in the league, and specifically from the Steelers. The referee who threw the toss, Phil Luckett, said that Bettis actually tried pulling an old trick of saying, "Het tails," in which Luckett heard heads first and went with that. I'll play the video and let you decide for yourself.
I believe Jerome Bettis said tails.
Recently, we had another change in the NFL, which is correlated with the coin toss, but not directly linked. The NFL's playoff overtime rules were changed in the 2022 offseason to state that both teams will have a chance to score in overtime before the old sudden death rules apply. The rule was changed after the 2022 AFC Divisional game that featured an electric duel between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes that ended up going to overtime. Mahomes was the only one to touch the ball after regulation because they were able to drive down and score a touchdown. Josh Allen has gone on to say that the coin toss hurt him more than the actual loss of the game. To give some background on why Josh felt this way, I have to go back and look at the Bills' 2021 season as a whole. As a captain, Josh was selected to call the toss 9 times throughout the regular season. The craziest part about it is that he actually went 9-0. The statistical probability that Josh was able to correctly call 9 tosses in a row is a measly 0.19%, or approximately 1 out of 512. Walking into Arrowhead, Josh was on a hot streak, but he wasn't looking to slow down. When it was time to call the original toss, Josh went with heads, and it ended up being tails, and his streak halted to a stop. But losing the coin toss in regulation isn't the end of the world for anyone. But when the game went to overtime, he was forced to call the toss again. But he ended up making a mistake that will haunt him for the rest of his career. Josh did the unbelievable and switched his call in overtime and went with tails. The coin landed heads and the Chiefs drove down and scored a touchdown to knock Allen out of the playoffs. But this is still not nearly the worst thing, or should I say embarrassing thing, that we've seen from a coin toss. I'll let the footage speak for itself.
I'd like to call heads.
Heads is called.
Look at him, he's laughing.
Heads! Seattle's won the toss.
We want the ball, we're going to score.
Turn around.